I'll just leave this cracked.
Oh, yeah. We have some more students.
Alright, guys. Before we get started, before I introduce our speaker today, I have some class evaluations. These are just for me. And so to see if there are things that I can do to improve the class for you guys, that's changing the way I teach it, what's included, the assignments, or anything like that. Any type of comments that you would have for me, I would really appreciate it, so that I can make the class more useful and accessible to you guys. So you don't have to put your names on it, but just fill it out at some point and just return it to me. You can put it upside down on one of the tables in the back, and before you leave today, that would be awesome. And let's see, any other announcements? Nope, there are no other announcements. So today, like I talked about last week, we're going to have a speaker. This is Jamie Potter.
Hello.
And Jamie Potter is going to share with us his experience. He contacted me, or I was contacted, because he really wanted the opportunity to talk more about his life and share his story with other people. And so I thought this was a great opportunity for him to do that, and a great forum for him to do that. So I would appreciate everyone's attention, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And for any questions that you guys have, please feel free to ask. And are you ready?
Yes. Before I start, it might be a little bit difficult for you to understand me at first. So if you want me to repeat myself, I will be more than happy to do so.
Okay, yeah. If he needs to repeat himself, just let him know. And we'll go ahead and get started, guys.
Okay. Well, how I identify myself. Unbelievable, liberal, spiritual, creative, intuitive, inclusive, genderqueer, and bisexual. Okay, and I'll just start right in. I am 21 years old. I have cerebral palsy. I live in a small town in Illinois called Pontiac. It's very conservative, very Republicanish. No offense, but whatever. I'll just say I don't fit in there, and it was really hard growing up in an area like that. Let's see, where do I begin? I am the youngest of 5 children, collectively. My parents I come from a funded family, and my dad had 3 daughters from a previous marriage, and my mom had a son from a previous marriage, and they got together and they had me. However, it wasn't perfect by any means. When I was born, I wasn't supposed to live, and I was basically supposed to be a vegetable of sorts, and the doctor said I wouldn't amount to basically anything. And clearly they were wrong. Apparently so, right? But anyway, but my physical disability wasn't my only problem. I was in love. At a very early age, I knew I was different. Of course I knew I couldn't walk, blah, 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 but I always liked Barbies, and they always had such a strong inclination towards more female things, such as Barbie dolls. I love my Barbie dolls, I still do. And this is where it's really rough, because I had a lot of hardship because of that, particularly within my own family. You have to say, but particularly with my dad. Now, before I start, this gets a lot better. However, our relationship is not perfect. I'm sure you all have dealt with your parents in some way or another, but I was my dad's only son, and he had certain expectations that I clearly didn't meet. So, let's just say, he was very against the whole Barbie thing. He would say really crummy things to me. One thing was, I'm going to burn your Barbies if you buy another one. And he would say, he made it perfectly clear that I was a disappointment. And and another thing, I grew up Catholic. And as you all know, or those of you may not know, it's a very open religion. And, yeah. So I had to, keep a lot of things under wraps. And I really didn't get a lot of pestering from my peers, because a lot of them didn't know that I played with Barbies or wanted to be a hairdresser. I basically had to be different outside the house. My mom would have let me have Barbie dolls, and she would have done that, but she was trying to protect me, and I fully am saying to get that now. I'm trying to move along here because I have a lot more to cover. So anyway, in a nutshell, it wasn't easy in my house for many years. There was one instance where I got beat up by my cousins. I got beat up by my 3-year-old cousin, while my 12-year-old cousin told him to basically kick the crap out of me, and he said, "This is so you won't be a flag."
Jimmy, you were 6 at the time, too.
Well, whatever.
Well, that...
Well, yes, but still. And bigger, whatever. But, and my grandma was in the next room and had no idea what was going on. And I was screaming for them to stop. And apparently they didn't think all of it out of me, because here I am, so truly I live. So there you go. Needless to say, I was very resilient, and sometimes I question that. I actually question that a lot, because there is a high price for being yourself, sometimes, and I feel like I've paid that price more than once. And this may sound sad or bleak, but it's the truth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Because I feel that life doesn't give you what you want. It certainly hasn't for me. One thing I've had to give up is my dream of being a famous hairdresser. Ever since I can remember, I had a distinct plan for my future. I wanted to go to Hollywood, California, and do some movie stars there, and my mom can attest to that. She noticed that I was different at a very young age. I like to watch Romeo and Juliet at the age of 2 years old. There you go. And I just had a really strong connection with that. And so anyway, as I started getting older, as I started getting older, I became very, what's the word, closed off for a long period of time. I basically didn't want to leave the house for a year and a half. And one thing I should mention is I have a lower immune system, so I get sick a lot more easily than you may get sick. Anyway, but I didn't want to leave the house for basically a year and a half. And why that was because I felt like I didn't have any support. I was severely depressed, and how I dealt with that was taking other people's ignorance out on myself. I became anorexic and a little bit bulimic. I even tried cutting myself to ease the pain. And that went on for about a year and a half. I mean, I was down to 104 pounds within a matter of weeks. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I felt like I had accomplished something. And destroying myself was a way for me to say, you know what? I don't have to live this life. Fuck it. I'm sorry, but I feel like I have to use these expressive words, so I'm gonna. I'm like everybody. You know, I don't have to live the rest of my life like this, and I do this to help me. I need to do something. And around the time period I came out, when I was 14, as gay. I came out gay when I was 14, and at that time I really wasn't prepared or aware for what that really meant. Particularly because of my isolation, and you know, I didn't get it. And I did that for about 9 months. I wasn't happy. I went back into the closet and said I was straight. I tried going back to church. Didn't work at all. The last time I was in a Catholic church, I got hit in, this is a funny story, I got hit in the head with a crucifix. And my head starting to bleed. And talk about stigma, you know, stigma. That's what Jesus had blood gushing out of the top of his head. But anyway, yeah, that was fun. I really wasn't into that anymore. I was basically, anyway, but where was I? Yeah. And I tried that whole thing, and when I first started to feel good about myself was when I started growing my hair out. And I had really long hair. I looked like Michael Jackson. I need even more drugs. God knows what. Anyway. But I liked it. Cut 10 inches cut off for like the love, you know, because my mom wanted me to. So. But I got ear piercings out of it, so, and to color my hair again, so I went out on that one. So anyway, but my gender identity, I'm a lot happier with it now. I can express it more. Like, for example, I paint my toenails, I wear lots of rings, I even wear makeup, mascara, and cover up, basically, but you do what you can. And the strange part is, I don't feel like it's taking away from me as a male. I don't necessarily feel female, but I don't necessarily feel male. Now, this is a concept that I'm still learning about myself, so I can't really explain to you the dynamics of it because I'm still learning. And so it's called gender queer, where people don't really fit into the gender binary. Anyway, but I've met a lot of really fantastic people over the internet. My mom and I even went to, this is just a side note, we went to a wedding in Des Moines, Iowa for a lovely lesbian couple, and I was the bridesmaid and also the ring bearer, and that was one of the most happiest. I felt so honored and so blessed to do that. I can't even tell you. Anyway, moving on. So that's the two. I think I talked about, the only thing I'll say about my sexuality is it took me a while to figure it out. I'm still figuring it out. But I remember my first ever real crush on a man. I will never forget it. I was 17 years old, and the first time I saw him, I was like, oh my God, I'm attracted to him, and that scared the living shit out of me. Excuse me, but it did, you know, because I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, I never concentrated on the actual concept of my sexuality, if that makes sense. I mean, it just didn't like think about it. And I'm like, okay. So I had really strong feelings for him, and I'm like, Mom, you know, I thought this was behind me. I thought I didn't have to deal with this anymore, and she said to me, don't worry about it, you know, just be who you are, and don't worry about it. And so, you know, that was when I was 17. And as far as my I think that pretty much covers my what?
I have a question.
Oh God.
On your cerebral palsy, how are you with your acceptance of your body now?
I was moving on to that.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually, but my cerebral palsy, which is clearly why I need this wheelchair and my mother to push me around, no pun intended. Anyway, but with my cerebral palsy, I didn't really think about it that much. I knew I couldn't walk, and I knew I couldn't do certain things like other kids, but I really didn't notice it until people started reacting to me, you know, and I'm like, oh, why are they treating me different than a regular 7-year-old? People would baby talk to me, and I'm like, why? You know, I'm not a baby. I mean, when you're that age, you want to think you're pretty hopped up compared to a little infant, you know? I mean, come on. What kid wants to be talked to like they're a baby for God's sake, you know? But anyway, I had to deal with that a lot. And when I was about 10 or 11, it really hit me. I was in Walmart with my dad in my powered wheelchair, and the man actually physically stepped over me. He could have gone another way, didn't say a damn thing, just physically stepped over me. And I didn't know how to take that. I mean, how can you take something like that? I mean, can you imagine that if someone physically stepped over you because they didn't want to be bothered to go another direction? I want you just to think about that for a little bit and just imagine what that must feel like. Whether to be treated like you're nothing and to be treated like you don't even exist. I'm sure it goes across everything I'm talking about. And people think they understand and they get where you're coming from. But when you're a person going through that, it doesn't bring you comfort. Because you don't want to hear that, you just want to say, shut up, you don't know what I'm doing. And for me, I got very enraged because I couldn't take it anymore. I had so much anger and I didn't know how to express it. And I feel very sorry for that little boy, and that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm talking about this to you today, because I believe that this generation can make things a lot better, and I think it was my purpose to talk about gender and sexuality within this body, because we have to stop being so ignorant and hopeful with our beliefs, because you're not going to change people. You're not going to change people. You can't even change yourself that much when you really think about it. And I'm really hoping that, I'm going to get to another point. Could you move on?
Sure.
Really quickly, depression, which I talked about, sort of. I have suffered from severe depression. I have thought about suicide on numerous occasions. I dealt with cutting myself, very superficial, but, you know, I thought of stabbing myself with a knife, and very vicious stuff. I mean, you know, I'm very graphic within my own head, so very visual. So anyway, but an anxiety, social anxiety, I mean, let's say, I don't know, 6 years ago, I would not be able to stand up here and talk to you like this because I would be too terrified. I would just pee myself. And shame and embarrassment. Yes, I used to feel very ashamed going into a new area, and I felt embarrassed. I'm going to give you a specific example, and this is finding my people this ties in. And I'm not, before I start, I'm not attacking this group, but I feel like it should be talked about. I tried to join ISU Pride, and you know, I was pretty much scared as hell out of my wits, but I knew I had to do something because I got the whole philosophy, life doesn't knock at your door, you have to take risks. And that was the hugest, one of the hugest risks I have ever taken in my whole life. Going into that room, I will never forget it. And a couple of times, people asked me, are you in the right room? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in the right room. And I had enough courage to stick it out to the point where they actually gave me an award at the end of the year, but this is open. But I'll just say it didn't work out. And it was a very good experience. I learned a lot from it. And it gave me a voice. And a lot of people may not agree with my voice, but at least I have it. And I'm not going to give up my individuality or my beliefs to please people because I tried and it doesn't work. And I'm going to another organization in Champaign. It's older people, you know. I mean, it's a support group for gay and bi men, so I'm hoping I'll put in more there. And so I tried several different things, but, you know, I even tried a gay church. I hate to call it a gay church, but
That's what they called it.
yeah, yeah. And it was way too conservative for me. If you can believe that. It was just too conservative for me. Anyway, I tried several things. I haven't yet found my niche. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
lessons learned.
Well, a big lesson I've learned is accepting people for being different. That's one thing that Pride did teach me. I mean, there was a big room of every imaginable hairstyle, skin color, piercing areas you can imagine. And I just loved it. And I realized that you can't group an individual into a category just because of what they look like. And I know that comes as sounding hypocritical from a person who has cerebral palsy. You would think I would be so open-minded and not judgmental, but I am not of people of different races necessarily. I have an issue with religious people, and I'll be honest with that, but it's my own deal. Anyway, moving on. I really want to be as honest as I can be, because there's no purpose of me being here if I'm going to sugarcoat everything. Anyway, but I deal with prejudices, but it taught me to accept people and accept myself a little bit more. And I still have a long way to go. I still have issues with my body, specifically my weight. I know I don't look like much, but, you know, I mean, I still get paranoid when I gain some weight, and I have to kind of fight the urge not to starve myself again and deprive myself of food or eat a bunch of stuff. And you get what I'm saying anyway. But I still have issues, and like I said, I think I'm moving in the right direction. I'm still in high school. For various reasons, I've been homebound instructed since I was 9 years old, because I was hospitalized a lot with RSV, which is commonly something newborn gets, specifically preemies. Anyway, but I'm graduating at the end of this year, and I hope to be attending Heartland Community College. I would really like to be a therapist and help kids like myself, not necessarily with cerebral palsy, but with gender issues, because I believe that I'm going to use the word God here, but I believe it's important for kids to know that there is a higher being out there, whatever you think it is, or even if you don't believe in it at all. There are forces that make us who we are, and we need to learn, including myself, how to embrace those. And I really believe strongly in that. And with what's going on, kids just need to know that. I guess what I was hoping all of you would take away from this is the next time you see a person in a wheelchair or come across, I don't know, a transgender person or, even a gay person. If you have those preconceived notions, just give them a chance to let them show you the person that they are. That's all. And because it all comes down to any one of you could be in a car accident and have a disability tomorrow, and any one of you could discover that you're different. I mean, any one of you could have whatever, but I guess that's all I wanted to say, and I hope you appreciated my talk, and thank you for letting me speak to your little class. And please feel free to ask questions. I love questions. Open your mouth and let's see what comes out. Yeah.
I guess it's just a broad question that maybe it's different to you. But if someone tries to open the door for you, do you find that as like an insult, or do you appreciate that?
Oh God, no. I love it. Are you kidding me? I ask for help all the time. I get pissed off when people don't open the door.
Oh, okay.
because I'm like, hello, and then they want to know I know one of these, but I'm just one person. I can't speak for the whole plan of people in wheelchairs because a lot of people have what I call disabled pride, and that's good, and I think that they shouldn't have that, but I would just ask before doing it.
Yeah, I have to say something here since I'm the pusher, or the pushing. Usually, I think if somebody is willing to do an act of kindness for someone, you never discourage that, because that's how I feel about it. Even if we wouldn't really need help, I'll say, sure, of course, that would be great, because it does make another person feel good, you know. That's how I feel about it. But like he said, like, you know, maybe you could just ask someone, do you need some help, you know? And that's all. And we never turn it down usually, because usually I have a lot of things I'm trying to control at once, and it's like, are you kidding? That'd be awesome.
Please help me about
Help me
everything
get away from this
goes
bad
by.
driver. Right, yeah. So,
But yeah, the key thing is asking. So, any other questions? I hope so.
well, I have a question. Are you accepting your strengths and weaknesses and not being so hard on yourself now?
I think I'm genuine.
Good.
And it's not perfect, obviously, but I think I'm a lot better than I used to be. One other thing is I'm on different medication, and that really helps me a lot. But if no one else has any questions, I might as well talk about this. It's a little off the cuff, but whatever. If you are suffering from depression and you've heard several things, don't be afraid to go to a psychiatrist, because that's what I had to do. And let me tell you, I was terrified, because I thought they would lock me up and eliminate them, because that's how I felt. I felt like a crazy person. I would get mad at the drop of a hat. I would yell, I would scream, and I didn't know what was wrong with me.
A lot of that's depression.
Yeah. And I'm doing so much better. This is the happiest I've ever, well, not ever been, but in the last 10 years. I mean, it's just fun. And it ties back to everything here. All of these go hand in hand. And sometimes listening helps. If someone comes to you and says, you know, I'm depressed because of this, because of that, and if it comes to push and shove, tell them to go get help. And maybe go with them or be a support system for them, because they may not have it. And one thing, while I still have time, I do, I wanted to talk about the lack of support that in the LGBT community for the youth. A lot of them get kicked out of their homes, are just really extreme measures, and I guess, not that I'm saying you to go out and become a volunteer for the Red Cross or anything, but I think there needs to be more awareness about these issues, and there's really a lot of awareness when it comes to individuals in wheelchairs or with disabilities except for the Special Olympics. Oh, and I should mention, I hate sports. If you didn't already figure it out. And I think the Special Olympics is great, but that's not my bag. And that's not me. And I hope by coming here and talking and sharing my story, it may open your minds up a little bit more to what's really out there in the world. And I'm just finding it out myself. And let me tell you, I like what I see. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I've become friends with a 50-something-year-old man who has come out and has a partner now and is living his life the way he feels he should live it, to be true to himself. And I've learned so much from that. And people tell me what an inspiration I am. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but because I'm just one individual. We can all be inspirations. I mean, you don't have to be different to be inspirational. I mean,
I think that's a wonderful thing. I think what I learned from first talking to you and listening to you share your story is that this is a process, right? We all go through a process of finding out who we are. It's a journey. And a lot of the things, I like what you said, that you don't have to be different to be inspirational. But what I like is that a lot of the things that you have expressed, these themes, whether it's gender roles, family, isolation, depression, judgment, resilience, support, these are things that everyone experiences and impacts everyone's life. And it's really nice. It's good for you to know that that everyone in this room has had some experience with these things on the list. But when you talk about accepting your strengths and weaknesses and fears, in doing so, you're sharing such intimate parts of your life with the class and letting them know that they too, are not alone in these things. And so, it's just a really wonderful thing to do.
Well, I feel like that. I'm stretching all I can get out of this. And don't hate me, but if you do, you do. Anyway, I just think being in your early 20s is a really difficult time for a lot of people. And we tend to get, I'm thinking for myself, wrapped up in ourselves and what we want, what we need, we feel we need, and what we want to do. For example, I went to St. Louis a couple months ago in November, and I really wanted to go to a gay bar. And my cousins took me there, and I spent a couple of days at their house. And you know, I had my experience with alcohol, and let's just say, I made a complete fool of myself. We were with two of our friends. I had two Jello shots.
I wasn't there, by the way.
No, you weren't. And I'm probably shooting myself in the foot.
I've heard it. I've already heard it.
But, you know, and I drank this really yummy, like, fruity drink. I don't know what the hell was in it, but I found it right away. And I had this fantasy of, like, seeing Cleopatra and having a bunch of really guys pick me up and just, whatever.
Walk across the room.
Yeah. Anyway, but I ended up dancing with about 3 women, and let me tell you, I was a bit disappointed, but I figured, oh, what the hell. And I just closed my eyes and let it go.
Enjoying what life has to offer.
Yeah.
And letting myself embrace being in the moment.
But after that, I was, no, I don't want to go. And this was like at midnight, and I was pouting and everything, because I was not drunk, thank God, but I started bursting into tears, and I cried the whole way back, and I learned something from that. I would have mentioned it earlier, but I forgot about it until now. My point is, we make mistakes, and particularly in this time frame, because we're young, we want to be adults. Let me tell you, I would love to be able to go out whenever I'm wanted and do whatever I wanted to do. A part of that is, and we're all still rebellious, I like digging for myself because I never was able to fully experience that, so I'm sort of rebelling within approval, if that makes sense. My mom lets me do certain things, then supports them.
With responsible people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have had some experience, like I've been to a drag show. I've met Shangela from RuPaul's Drag Race. Anyone familiar?
I've seen it.
Unfortunately, I was at the drag show. I won't go down.
And I talked to her, and I
Just wasn't
got
my
to
deal.
him her, and I was the first one in line, and I went up and gave her a good big old hug, and I wasn't nervous at all, so I just went up there and I threaded my stuff and let that cut, and people were like, Jamie, and I'm like, yes. I thought you would do it better than now. But I'm really happy with the things I've done. And I'll wrap up, I promise. But I was really hoping to, I'm really glad I did this again. And like I said, I mean, I'm really grateful to you for letting me come here and listening to me jabber on. This is really important to me, and I hope to keep continuing doing this, and I'm just really passionate about this, and it's kind of hard for me to stop, and I will. I'm just really thankful and appreciative.
Do you guys have any questions that you thought of in the meantime? Well, I just want to thank Jamie for coming. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so open and honest.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful having you. And if you guys want to ask him anything personally, please feel free. If you guys can fill out your evaluation before you go, that would also be great. And thanks. You did great.
Do you want me to turn this off?
I will get it for you.
Yeah, because I don't know how to do it.
All right.
And Dexter, why don't you look there?
Hey, Andrea.
Yes.
Just so you don't mix up your classes. It's 390.
Oh yeah, I
Just
switched.
so you're not like,
Thank
these
you.
are the weird evaluations. You didn't do that.
You did awesome. Oh, yeah, I'll know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I gotta Be back. Be back.
You can jump. You want?
Hey, Dexter.
Hey, up.
I
I don't
know.
want to pick you up my back until
You want me to pick him up for you?
if you want one.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, he weighs like all of 2 pounds.
No, more like 8 or 9.
Really? He's so small. He's adorable.
Would you mind giving me my drink?
Yeah, no problem.
I'm horribly dry.